Hi, I'm Andrea Klim, and you are watching Turn to the Stars. And I want to say thanks for tuning in. This week, I've got some pretty interesting information to talk about, and that is about our universe's laws of attraction and the new moon in Cancer, which is on June 27th, which is coming up. Today is June 17th, 2014, and I'm going to expand on what I was talking about on last week's show. And I think it's really interesting with astrology, and a lot of people don't think of astrology in this way. They just, I hear this a lot. I don't believe in that. But astrology is something that is very real. It is a study which is of the world around us. Astronomy and astrology are very connected. And the planets that are in our solar system throughout time, they tell us, they teach us through their physical experiences of being in opposite places about the laws of attraction. And if you think about it, when you have two bodies that are looking at each other, they're on separate sides of a particular area. They really do reflect to each other who they are. So this week I'm going to be, as I said before, expanding on last week's show, which was planetary oppositions, the way the universe brings us together. And right now, as I record today's show, Mars and Uranus are in opposite constellations. That is, Mars is in the constellation of Libra, and Uranus is in the constellation of Aries. And I have a chart that shows that. There it is right there. And on the bottom left, you can see the Mars, the shaded area. Mars is the red symbol, which is a circle with the arrow pointing upward. And you can see that it's at 13 degrees in the constellation of Libra, in opposition to Uranus up on the right side, probably right about 2 o'clock on, if you were looking at a clock on the wall. Uranus in the constellation of Aries. We also see the nodes there as well, which I was talking a lot about on last week's show. And this chart is exactly at this time as I'm recording this show. And what it's talking about, and it's showing us by their positions, these planets, is about the laws of attraction. And so when we talk about opposing planets, when two planets are opposite each other, they look directly at each other. As I said before, it's a connection. And a great example of opposition is man-woman. Mars equals action. Uranus equals the unusual, the different. Mars in Libra. Libra is going to sort of dictate how Mars behaves, how it acts. And Uranus is in Aries, which is we are all changing and we are learning so much about ourselves. Now these two planets are in opposition. And this is what we call a cardinal opposition, which means it influences action. Influences us to take action. Oppositions do stir up an active interest. And when you have two planets that are telling us and showing us about the universe's law of attraction, it means that what we get a message of is that oppositions mean attraction. Opposing forces mean that there are connecting forces at work. Oppositional means differences of opinion. Different interests are present. Common interests are coming together. There's a sense of camaraderie. Agreements, it's possible that agreements can be made. It's also possible that war and fighting can occur. Opposition inspires decision making. Opposition inspires us to listen to each other. Opposition inspires responses. Opposition inspires action. Opposition inspires a truce. And it's so interesting because whoever acts first, typically there's going to be a response. Opposition inspires us to come together. Opposition inspires unity. Opposition inspires us to stand united together by moving toward each other rather than away from each other. Opposition can influence divisions. Opposition can inspire people to meet each other halfway. Oppositions inspire I give. Opposition inspires we give. It's really important to remember that every action you make has the tendency to cause a reaction, especially with Mars involved. And this is a universal opposition, and it really wants our attention. Everybody's feeling this in some way in their relationships. Opposition helps us to learn about ourselves. Oppositions teach us to stick up for ourselves. They teach us what it means to see things from someone else's point of view. And it's interesting, when you teach, you offer knowledge that wasn't known, and the student either connects and accepts or cannot, and another way must be found to reach them. So it's interesting to think about opposition and all the different perspectives on opposition. This particular opposition between Mars, the planet of action, movement, anger, envy, desire, and Uranus, the planet that rules over things which appear to be unusual, crazy, different, rebellious, begins to separate by June 25th. Today is June 17th, so we've got a period of time that this energy is going to be very present in all of our lives. This is actually the third time that Mars, while in the constellation of Libra, has opposed Uranus since it has been in this constellation. So its energy is going to be much more aggressive with its rebellion. So it's really, really important to be aware that this energy is more influential now, for people to take risks, for people to be more inclined to act impulsively, be more electrically charged and or explosive. Our awareness that this energy is present is very important. Very, very important. And I have a picture here which is of a saying by Michael Lozier. And I'm not really sure who he is, but in the research for this show, and Michael Lozier said, I attract to my life whatever I give my attention, energy, and focus to, whether positive or negative. So it's really important for us to realize that we do have the tendency to attract to ourselves wherever we're at. So whatever we're thinking, whatever you're giving attention to, you're going to attract a response. And I thought this was a great, way of really raising attention to the universal laws of attraction. It's interesting, though Mars in the constellation of Libra influences a balancing act, and you can see there are many, many possibilities, and awareness of this influence stirs up understanding of what those possibilities can be or will be. So today, there is present, as I tape this show also, this is really very beautiful aspect, a grand trine in the element of air. And this is occurring between the Sun and Mercury, which are very much conjoined in the constellation of Gemini, and the North Node in Libra, and the Moon in Aquarius. And what it does is tells us that this is a great planetary opening for ideas, for friendship, for unitedness, and overcoming elements of disharmony. Overcoming elements of disharmony. And I want to show chart A on the screen, and so that you can get a good picture of, yeah, that's the chart. You see in the middle of the chart there is a triangle that is formed by these three bodies. The moon down in the right hand corner, it looks like a blue symbol in the constellation of Aquarius. And at the very top of the chart, as I'm recording the show, noon, the sun in Gemini and Mercury in its retrograde in Gemini, and the north node, meaning a direction we're all going. We know that we can't go by ourselves. Very important that we consider everybody along the way. So that's really a beautiful, beautiful aspect of harmony and ideas and us working together. That's present right now. So that is helping with the opposing forces that are at play. Interesting, what's coming up. On June 27th is a new moon at 5 degrees of Cancer, and that is occurring on, again, June 27th at exactly 3:13 a.m. here on the East Coast. And I record this show in Manchester, New Hampshire at Manchester Public TV Services. And so on the East Coast, we experience this new energy or this theme that's beginning to develop, and it's Cancer, very sensitive, very emotional, very gentle, very nurturing. This new moon is in opposition to Pluto, and this new moon in Cancer brings our awareness to the need to care for and support what we want to see grow in our lives. And I have a chart of that that I want to show you of that new moon. There it is on the bottom left corner. You can see this new moon, the sun and the moon together in the constellation of Cancer at exactly 5 degrees. And what it tells us is that through emotion, it brings an awareness to the need to change as we become more aware of the past and what we cannot control. And, Cancer is, as I said before, a very, very sensitive sign. And typically, it carries a sense of, emotion that tends to change very quickly. Because Cancer is actually ruled by the tides of the ocean. And so what we feel with this new moon coming in is very important, and we're going to be, because of that opposition, feeling what other people are going through at this time, as we all are in a time of great change. And I thought these would be some great questions that you could ask yourself as this new moon on the 27th of June shows its energy to us. Ask yourself, what feeds my heart and soul? What do I need to nurture so that I can grow? Because this new moon does present us with a growing realization of the tensions we've been under and an awareness of the universe's laws of attraction. And the interesting thing that is happening at the same time as we are experiencing this new theme with this new moon is Mercury is still retrograde, and this new moon falls just 2 degrees from the point where Mercury actually went retrograde, meaning in that backward motion. And I talked on a show earlier this year that every single Mercury retrograde that occurs this year, meaning the effects to our logic and reason, would be extremely emotional. And as every Mercury retrograde begins, Mercury would be in a water sign, which would be inspiring us to think about not only ourselves but other people and how they might feel. And Mercury retrograde would take us backward over some of these emotions and these feelings. So Mercury retrogrades, all of the periods this year of Mercury retrograde are going to be extremely emotional because of that beginning where it said, you know what, I'm in this place which is very sensitive, but there's this need to go back over some of these ideas that support those emotions. So, it suggests this time with this new moon suggests an experience ability to present. It is present to express ideas in reasonable and acceptable ways because of the developed intelligence that's gained from this Mercury's retrograde. Mercury retrograde began on, the 7th of June, and this week, June 19th, is actually a really important time, as you heard me talk about, where the spirit of what we are researching comes together, where the emotion and the feelings and the logic and the reason come together as the Sun and Mercury join together, as you saw in those charts. This new moon with this on June 27th in Cancer shows us that if we are not in recognition of and are not able to express the talents we each have, they will be shown to us through others. That's the connecting force you saw with Pluto. This will be especially true if it's a quality that we do not like about ourselves, which in psychology they call this a shadow expression. And the universe does express these clues of attraction through times when its planets are in opposition. Our solar system, that's what I'm talking about. Our universe, our solar system. So this new moon on June 27th, that chart also holds expressions of harmony and relief, which is shown by those strong water trines that we see in that chart. And they are occurring between Chiron, which is an asteroid, which is in the constellation of Pisces, trining Saturn in Scorpio, and the new moon in Cancer, which is forming a trine to Neptune in Pisces, and Mercury in retrograde is trining the North Node to Libra. So through these very peaceful, harmonious aspects, the universe shows its support and applause for all the change that is occurring with us, both individually and in the world that surrounds us. So it's interesting because the chart actually on that new moon, if we could put chart B up back on the screen, if you look at the blue lines in the middle of the chart, one kind of goes to the North Node from Mercury, and the other is from that new moon in the bottom left right up to Neptune. And it kind of looks like two hands clapping. And I thought that this would, it kind of reminded me of applause or support from the universe for all the change that we're experiencing. So these harmonious connections show us that the laws of attraction are at work, and through these open doors and peaceful patterns between the planets, many forms of creativity and artistry will be created, because those are open door for good things to manifest. And as human beings, the instinct to survive through times of change, that instinct inspires us to get creative and to search for things that make us feel good. I go out every morning, I try to, with my little Jack Russell, and walk, because the beauty of the world that surrounds us is so incredible, and it does inspire us to feel good. So we need to do those things, and we certainly have those avenues open to us if we just look. So use this new moon on June 27th. You can use it to plan warm functions, put together invitations, or prepare. And the words I'm using, put together, prepare, a new service or product launch, because we still are in Mercury retrograde till July 1st. So, use this energy, work with the energy, plan, try to get things ready to launch them after July 1st. This is a great time to begin preparations for anything that is about promoting innovative, exciting new ideas, art, new healing therapies, and knowledge to some type of audience. Your visions, your ideas that offer support and a new direction for the world around you should be welcome. So get your script ready, write out your invitations to whoever you're planning to invite, but wait till at least after July 1st to send them. Mercury, the planet of logic, reason, communication, will be awake from its retrograde, its resting period, and everyone will be ready to hear what you have to say, and it will be clear after July 1st. Even a couple days, if you can hold off until you feel, here's the Cancer word, feel, that it's time to express those ideas. So in conclusion, oppositions between planets is the universe's example that shows us and teaches us about the laws of attraction. It's the universe's way of bringing us together. I have a little picture, and this picture I took myself this morning of my wildflower gardens, and this picture is actually, there it is. That's my wildflower gardens, which I planted by seed back on the new moon, right around the new moon time in April, and they are just beginning to really flourish. And what I thought, I found this really interesting, very positive phrase, and so it's just to remind you, talk about the good news of the day. Talk about what you love, and bring what you love, and bring what you love to you. So when you talk about good things, when you think about good things, the tendency is to attract them to you. And also, I had something else that I wanted to share with you, and this is actually something that Steve Jobs said, and he said, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. And so by connecting with the outside world, by thinking about good things, by really being conscious of what you're creating, what you're saying, what your actions are, you're going to attract to you people who want to connect with you rather than oppose you. You don't want to, if at all possible, especially with Mars and Libra, we all have, it's a great gift from our universe to be able to take action for peace and harmony, to take action to resolve things which are not balanced. And Uranus, this connection with Uranus, gives us a string, or like a helping hand, to be creative, to learn about ourselves, but at the same time realize that we are not here alone. There's lots of people around us. It's so interesting because Uranus in Aries has a tendency to erupt if there's anger, or if there's anger that is somehow buried. And what Uranus in Aries does is it kind of explodes things, or awakens us to the self. What's going on with me? What is it that I need to change? What is it that I need to become aware of? And so Mars You know, in ancient times, Mars was a planet that indicated war, that indicated that there would be some type of activity that would take place. And typically, with oppositions, we don't know what's to come. It's something coming out of nowhere that is either going to bring us together to unite or separate us. So the actual factual look at this is in reality that this could cause either or. So it's very important that we are aware of what oppositions can do, and that we do have ways to manage this actively, which is very positive. Libra and Aries are both very positive signs, very progressive signs. So very important that we're aware of our actions, and that if I do this, it could cause this to happen. So I wanted to just really focus in detail on oppositions, because they can really bring us together. And with Mars in Libra, it can really inspire us to air things out. You've heard me say that before on past shows. So just about to the end of the show, and I do want to take a minute to tell every one of you who watch and support Turn to the Stars, say thank you, and I appreciate your support. And I look forward to being here every week and sharing the universal knowledge of the planets with you. And want to remind you, turn to the stars. You'll find your answers there. And until next week, take good care. I'll see you then.